Right now, we're at Radio Row, and it's empty. If it only had been like this earlier today.
Well, you will hear orders being barked in Spanish, and you will hear vacuums and music at some point.
Oh, I love the patriotic music in the background.
Oh, it's going to go on a continuous loop, so don't you worry. There'll be plenty of it to make you happy.
You heard a right-wing organization, and there's all that big band, Star Spangled Banner. If only Christine Aguilera could have come to a CPAC, she would have known the words.
So this is kind of like conservative camp, don't you think?
Yes! It's so much fun.
CampCon.
CampCon. Yes, and it's all young people. Have you noticed it's like freakishly 90% college students?
Right, that's why Ron Paul's so popular.
Yeah. Well, there are downsides to young people. I just spoke to them at YAF, and generally I am the most popular speaker for YAF because they're living under the oppression of North Korean brainwashing, and they want someone to come in with, an axe to political correctness, and I'm their gal. But I did have to tell them, young people are stupid in one area, and I was young and I was stupid, and that is all of the, social foundations of society. They have no sense of that because they don't have families, they don't own property, and that's why they can fall for the siren song of libertarianism.
That's so true. If you want to do one thing to make people conservative, the one thing you can do is make them a homeowner.
Yes. Or especially for men, have a girl.
Yeah, marriage.
It's hard to force that on people, but for some reason they keep getting married.
So what about the speakers? What have you heard from CPAC this time that's impressed you? How about Mitt Romney?
I don't go to any of the speeches except my own.
Okay.
And it's gonna be great. But I'm trying to think if I've heard anything.
Donald Trump really brought the house down, and that was a surprise.
Yes, that's the one thing I was going to tell you. I heard it was contrary to people's expectations, so I got an email saying that he was great.
He did
and
a
the
great
one
job.
thing I like about him, well, two things. It kind of gives the lie to the whole Go Proud thing. Oh, we so love marriage, we're having Donald Trump speak. Come on. I mean, I actually do like marriage. I would have kept Trump out and let Go Proud in. But the one thing I really love about Trump that I vaguely remember from when I was a kid, I think Koch was mayor, and Trump kept haranguing whomever the mayor was because they were supposed to be building a ice skating rink in Central Park. And it was one of these, the typical New York City government project. They've been talking about it for 20 years, and Trump starts making fun of them. And Koch, I think it was Koch, it may have been Dickens, said to him, fine, you build it. 6 months later, we had the ice rink.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So I will always love him for that.
Yeah, no, I said yesterday that it was shocking to me what a warm reception that he got. And maybe it was because there was a lot of people who could relate to him, not as billionaires, but as guys with comb-overs. There was a lot of comb-overs in the audience.
Also, they're just so happy here. I swear,
People
they would
are.
be nice to Nancy Pelosi. They're just in such a good mood.
And that's just what's so different about a meeting of conservatives as
Yes.
opposed to liberals, is we're screaming at each other over ideas.
Yes.
They're screaming at each other because they hate each other's guts personally.
Oh, yes. No, I have quite a bit on this, the liberal psychology, in my unbelievably great next book that I can't really talk about, but
That's
you just
kind of a
mentioned
hint.
something that is a big part of the beginning of
You
it.
kind of just let the hint slip out.
Well, it covers a lot about liberals, but I have finally figured out the Rosetta Stone of liberals. Oh, I can't wait for this book to come out.
Pre-order on Amazon. Now, tomorrow, Mitch Daniels is supposed to give a big speech.
I'm sorry, go on.
And now he's got a lot of fans out there. I don't know.
know.
I'm not sold on him yet.
No.
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 But what do you think of Mitch Daniels so far?
Last night I was going through all of our presidential candidates in very rough terms with the editor of Human Events that I write for, and Stan Evans, some old-time right-wingers. And I said, and they agree with me. The answer is they're all pygmies except Chris Christie. If Chris Christie doesn't run, we're going to lose and get 4 more years of Obama. Okay, maybe he won't run. Oh, well, let's concentrate on the Senate and the House then. But I said, I don't want to knock Republicans because I like all Republicans, but come on, Tim Pawlenty, are you pulling my leg?
Anyone who refers to themselves as T-Paw is unelectable, first of all.
Well,
You better be a rapper. If you're calling yourself Teapot, you better have shot someone at a Beverly Center.
You better be cooler than my mother. And my mother's pretty cool, so that was cool. That's a high standard. But Stan Evans gave me a great point. He said there was a book written by this woman, I forget her name, about Tito and how Tito slaughtered all the people and he was so rough. You know, Stalin had to come in and call him back. You're getting a little rough. And the title of the book was Tito's Flawed Regime. And he said, just say the other Republicans are flawed. So for now, that's all I'll say about Mitch Daniels. Many great ideas. I love all Republicans. But look, a president is different. A president has got to be a manly man. No more, no, and gosh, an awful lot of ours, I'm sorry, they're just not manly men. And I mean, liberals were worried that Reagan would flip out and nuke the Soviet Union. There was that sense, and you need that sense. Chris Christie looks like he might flip out and fire every member of the teachers' union in the country.
So if we're looking for a Republican who's not a woman, we need to go to the guy with the D cup.
Yes, we want a manly man. And I will let John come up with the aphorisms for point one. Point two, we need a Republican who can talk because, again, the last Republican we had, not as president, the last Republican we ran for president who could talk was Ronald Reagan.
Right. No, and I think you're absolutely right. I think Barack Obama is a heavy favorite.
Yeah.
I think he is likely to win a second term. If you're an incumbent, it's hard to lose.
And the whole media cheerleading for you.
Absolutely. So I think he's probably got a 2-to-1 chance of being reelected, regardless of who the Republicans nominate.
Chris Christie, we win.
He says he's not going to run, though.
Well, I know, and maybe he won't, but I
actually
consider
believe him. I don't believe any of the others. I believe him.
And the answer irrelevant until next summer. Because he couldn't say he's running now. I mean, they'd start fixating on him. They'd say everything he's doing to run for president. He is concentrating on being a good governor right now. He owes it to the people of New Jersey, but we don't have anyone else. He's a patriotic man. If he loves his country, the soonest he should be declaring, the absolute soonest, would be next summer. If next September he still says he's not running, I'll say get used to 4 more years of Obama.
We're talking to Ann Coulter, who you can read online at anncoulter.com. The other big controversy here surrounded Go Proud.
Yes, I was a big part of that, as Go Proud's first speaker.
And now the American Conservative Union says they may not invite Go Proud back next year.
That's
they're
idiotic.
Upset over some interviews that Chris Barron, who's going to be on this program, gave. And Jimmy LaSalvia gave, and because they were upset that they attacked the American Conservative Union or said something.
They did?
They said something that they didn't like. I don't have the sound right now, but we'll have that.
You know.
Nasty bigot for the president of the American Conservative Union.
He called it the president of the American
Conservative.
Oh, I know, Concerned Women for America.
Yes.
Okay, he called it
a nasty bigot.
Well, okay, just, to clarify everything here, the reason these groups are pulling out has nothing to do with the gays. They want to start each one of them wants to start an alternative to CPAC.
Okay.
They're starting their own they have conferences every year. And by the way, well, they get a fair number, but it's not CPAC.
People.
Right. CPAC is the event.
Right.
They have a competing event. And by the way, I've seen this a million times. People broke off from Free Republic. You people were in nursery school then. But back when Free Republic started, and it remains the greatest right-wing site out there.
Yes.
It is so fantastic. But there were all these people a few years after we, got rid of Clinton. All these people were breaking away. I'm leaving Free Republic. And then you realize they're just going to start their own website.
Yeah.
This isn't about principle.
And that's not what conservatives should do. Conservatives shouldn't be like liberals. They fight because they hate each other personally. We fight over ideas.
Right.
So keep it at that.
Right. And as you know, I feel like you and I are the only people who completely understand this issue and have no problems here. But in fact, everyone is like us. It's only the heads of organizations that are competing with one another who play these games with it. But, I'm a total evangelical Christian, and yet I like the gays. And it drives me crazy that liberals are trying to use the gays the way they've used women before, the feminists, and they've used blacks to try to destroy the family. That's all liberals care about. They could not care less about the gays. They are supporting terrorists who drop walls on gays, who execute gays. They want to raise the taxes of gays. They don't want to fight the criminals who mug gays. They could care less about gays. They want to destroy the family because once you've destroyed the family, then you can demand total loyalty to the government. And I do not want the gays being co-opted when their natural home is in the conservative movement.
And it drives me nuts when gays, especially, well, mostly gays on the left, say that if you don't agree with the gay movement on gay marriage or don't ask, don't tell, that you're a bigot. Well, no, they're not the bigots. It's the Islamists that want to kill gays. Those are the bigots.
No, thank you for mentioning this, because I was just thinking about this. Okay, this gay marriage thing comes along. No one had ever thought of it for 2,000 years. And
Liza Minnelli did.
Okay,
but that's
for
a different
1,000
kind.
years. How long has she been around?
We'll have to cut her open and count the rings.
So anyway, there I am, going along my entire life, friend of the gay, friend of the gays, friend of the gays, friend of the gays. And then one day, when I'm 120 years old, liberals come up with something no one's thought of for 2,000 years, gay marriage. I'm against it, and suddenly, one day, I go to sleep, friend of the gays, and the next day I wake up, homophobe. No, you can't do that.
But that's the game they play, and they've gotten away with it for a very long time.
No, well, that's what they used to do with the feminists. If you're against abortion, you must hate women.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
it's the same thing.
But what's the degree, though? Because we can all agree that the Islamists hate the gays.
Yes.
Because they want to kill gays. Okay? But to say, to just apply the rules of gay marriage or don't ask, don't tell to the issue of race, if you support affirmative action, but you don't support as much affirmative action as they want, do you hate the blacks?
Right, exactly.
Because it's just a level of degree.
Right. And actually, the blacks are a unique case. I was claiming on Twitter that the name of my next book is You're Not Black. Because that's been my theme.
Are you dedicating it to Eminem?
No, who do we like? We like 50 Cent. He's the
50
Republican.
Cent.
Yeah.
Is he actually a Republican?
I think so. Well, I'm going to say so.
Okay, well, that's fine.
He defended Bush, and he attacked, who was it? Was it Kanye? Yeah, Kanye attacked Bush for not being able to stop a hurricane. And 50 Cent...
The fans weren't strong enough, Ann. You know that's racism.
50 Cent, my love, said, I don't think the president controls hurricanes. And I think recently he said something else that was totally pro-Republican. So he's my rapper.
Be careful about liking these rappers, Ann, because once you go black, you don't go back.
I've heard that. I've heard that. But in any event, my point is all these victim groups that liberals keep throwing at us, they always say, well, would you do that to a black? Would you say that to a... No, blacks are different. If your particular group was brought here as slaves, was held in slavery for 100 years, was then subjected to 100 years of legal discrimination by the Democrats, I might add, okay, then you can start going around claiming special rights. And so... Unless you've been held in slavery, and I do not mean in Fire Island. You are not black.
Well, the only whites that were brought here in chains and maintained in chains were the little boys at Neverland Ranch. But outside of them, that's it. And Macaulay Culkin doesn't get reparations. I'm sorry.
I heard most of them did get reparations.
Ann Coulter, the biggest rock star at CPAC, thanks so much for stopping by.
Thank you for having me. It's good to have you here.
And we'll see you again when you're in L.A.
Yes.
All right. John Phillps, live in Washington, D.C.